takes the field, folks, ready to execute the entire play for new commercial builds.
Absolutely. They're masters of design build, sketching strategy from initial blueprints to core electrical infrastructure. The team never misses on complex projects.
Known for handling big league constructions and major renovations, ensuring flawless execution, hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
God said, I need somebody to get up before dawn, milk cows, work all day in the fields, milk cows again, eat supper, go to town, and stay all night at a meeting at the school board. So God made a farmer.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. We are so thankful God made a farmer. For the month of September, it is our goal to feed 500 families. With every vehicle sold, we will feed a family of 4. So please help us reach our goal. Visit us online at northgategm.com.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantor, proudly delivering world-class hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada since 2016. I'm thrilled to announce our in-house production of tool components and accessories for faster turnarounds and enhanced versatility. The future is here at Cantor.com.
They're not just a grocery store. They're a butcher, a baker, a cafe, deli, rotisserie pizza, and restaurant, all under one roof. Loca Quality Market does food differently with 2 locations to serve you, Edmonton and Sherwood Park. Visit loca.ca.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 Triple E. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo, the 2 best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
At Wendy's, $4 gets you more than just a burger. It gets you a Dave's Single, made with a quarter pound of fresh, never frozen Canadian beef. All for just $4 at participating Wendy's. Taxes extra. But hurry, this deal ends October 26th.
Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
It's the Lowdown on Sports 1440. Today's show, Oilers lose on the road, but Ike Howard, Matt Savoy, and Alec Regula all look like NHL regulars this fall. Plus, MLB postseason is absolute fire, and the Roundtable is straight ahead, except basically you can expect more words per 60 than any other radio show, except for Krueger. The Lowdown is brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Employee pricing continues on the entire lineup of 2025 Sierra trucks. Details at wolfgmcbuick.com. We're live on YouTube and Sports 1440 Radio. Sports1440.ca, iHeartRadio, Radio Player Canada. People opening up beers to begin the show. It's going to be a wild one. After the show, Apple and Spotify podcast. We tweeted out on X. Screw you, Blue Sky. We're never going there. Twitter at Lowetide, at Declan Krueger, at JFenwick04, at SamW1440, at Donovan Paulson. You can text or call us anytime, 833-401-1440. Lots to talk about today. Bagged Milk will be our guest. Declinations will be, hi, my name is, and now it's time for the introductions. He is just back from warming up his pizza pops. I don't think he actually gets a break during his shift. Everybody else does, but we don't give it to the new guy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Sam Wilness. Sam Wilness, everybody.
Hello. How are we doing?
Do you actually get a break during your time that you work with us?
No. So I come in here and then I kind of watch and then also produce the Kevin Carey show.
Right.
And then I do the Fantasy Frenzy show.
Okay.
And then I go into producing or streaming for the Lowdown with Lowetide.
Okay. So are you, would you suggest that you work more than 12 hours a day without a break?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay. All right. Do you notice when I let the air out of your bicycle tires when you leave?
No, I haven't.
Okay. All right. It wasn't me. All right. He's a pool shark. Don't play 8-ball against him. He's also ready to explode as soon as the Bengals trade for Russell Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Josh Fenwick. Josh Fenwick, everybody.
If the
Russell Wilson is a Cincinnati Bengal before the end of the season, I will explode. That is the gross incompetence from the front office of the Cincinnati Bengals, which I guess par for the course.
So you know that we're going to be all over that, right? Like as soon as that happens, it's going to be the show.
It better not happen. They probably just shouldn't trade for a quarterback.
There you go. He can only appear on this show once a week due to a court order requested by local clergy, Swifties, the Alliance for Good Taste in Grooming, the Better Business Bureau, CSIS, and the CNIB. On the other hand, he's been called the next Howard Stern. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Donovan Paulson. Donovan Paulson, everybody.
Thank you, Al. However, there was a little dig that might have gotten overshadowed there in the middle, the grooming one.
Yeah. Well, I can't be completely positive with my introductions to you. That's way better than calling you a future criminal, which I've also done.
You have done that, and that one, that was probably the worst one.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
If we had an HR, you would have gone right to it.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Right. He told me this morning he's watching all episodes of Only Murders in the Building to get ideas, old man. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Declan Krueger. Declan Krueger.
Ayo.
Declan, did you tweet out the show notes with the YouTube thing?
I did, yeah, of course.
Did you include me in it?
Yeah, it would be a pretty glaring omission if I didn't. So
I don't see it on my. You know how you can go and it'll be these are all the things that have happened.
No, I know. Yeah, I've been on Twitter. It was 8 minutes ago. Yeah. Do you want me to read it to you?
No, it's just it doesn't show up on my thing, man.
Is there, Donovan? Did you get the?
It doesn't show up on my thing either.
Interesting. It's not. Go to my page.
Well, I can't go to your page because your page is incognito.
You got to do a little bit of work. I know that's tough for you. You got to type my name in, let it complete, and then
do not turn this around.
Krueger.
You're the one who screwed up on this. Nobody has it to tweet it out.
I didn't screw up. I tweeted it 8 minutes ago. It's out there.
Okay,
I'm looking at the tweet right now. It's not my fault you can't find it.
always include me in it.
You're included on it this time.
I don't get this. This is so
go to my page. You'll find it.
It takes me 11 hours to go to your page because I can't just type in your name.
You have to type in my name fully, my username fully, at Declan Krueger, and then click go to Declan Krueger.
This is a good plug for people to follow you on Twitter, by the way.
And Josh just retweeted it, so he sees it. He knows it's there.
On 1440.
Yeah.
Honest to God, well, you know what? I'll retweet the whatever he sent out. I'll retweet it as soon as I can find it. We have to get on with the show. I don't know what happened there. So here, I want to talk about this. Oilers Kraken. Howard played well. Ike Howard, he started the rookie tournament slowly. But he's getting better as the games get more difficult. He's getting better, which is a great sign. I think even as early as like Monday or Tuesday of this week, I thought he might spend some of the early part of the season in Bakersfield. That could still happen, but he's coming on and he's looking really, really good. Ike Howard, Matt Savoy, and Alec Regula, to me last night, among the young players who are trying to get a job here with the Edmonton Oilers, they all looked really good. Your thoughts on those three players last night and overall, Donovan?
I think the big one, Ike Howard, I still feel like he's going to find himself in Bakersfield. I think that's kind of a matter of time. Listen, he's gotten progressively better and better and better. And from rookie camp, I was thinking, oh boy, okay, he doesn't look particularly close. And then he's progressed to a point where, you know what, I don't feel like he's overly far away, but I do think that there's still quite a few things that he needs to work on. But you can see the skill starting to shine through a little bit more. It looks like he feels a lot more comfortable. Regula, I am at a point where the usage was very interesting last night.
It was. He was with Nurse.
He was with Darnell Nurse. And so that makes me question, what is their plan? Are they planning to use him like they did Troy Stetcher last season? Or what is their idea? I feel like either way, he's going to be up here.
Yeah, I think he is. And that means that Stetcher might get traded.
He might, or they might just keep Stetcher in the same role that they had him in last season.
But then you'd be carrying 8 defensemen.
You would. But like, I feel like Troy Stetcher is one of those guys where they might waive him. And that's the type of guy that would, in my mind, probably get claimed after the season he had last year.
I agree.
But
and I think Regula would get claimed too. That's the problem. I think they're not gonna waive Emberson.
I think there's a pretty high chance that Regula would clear.
You think so?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, he's shown nothing in his NHL career to this point.
Well, he looks good, man.
He does look good, and he's big, and he's got a lot of tools, but he hasn't shown anything to this point, right? And the difference between him and Stetcher to me is one's shown that he is a very clear and obvious, you can throw this guy in the Stanley Cup final, and we know we're going to get a quality NHL defenseman. Regula hasn't shown that for me.
Yeah. I also think that at some level, Stetcher was exposed a little bit in the final. He got hammered. And you might want Regula to be that guy when you get to the final, but you're taking a chance if you're not absolutely sure of Regula. I think Regula will be on the team. We'll see. I'm just going to go off of the subject that I hadn't had, but I can't get over this Jackson Lacombe contract. Does anybody want to talk about this Jackson Lacombe contract? 8 times 9. That's too high?
There are people right now asking themselves, like, who the hell is Jackson Lacombe?
Well, and I mean, I get that. I mean,
like, they're like, who's this guy in Anaheim who just got $9 million a year for $8 years? There are people who have never heard of Jackson Lacombe or seen him play before who are waking up to this contract being like, who is this?
And Anaheim is cheap with their young players.
Yeah.
So that was a wild one.
Look at the Mason McTavish saga.
Yeah.
I love Jackson Lacombe. I think he is a very, very good young defenseman. Frankly, $9 million looks like a lot of money.
It's going to end up being okay.
And I did say, holy crap, $9 million for Jackson Lacombe, as I saw it on my Twitter feed. But I think Jackson Lacombe is that good. And that is kind of the going market right now for players like him.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Yeah.
Does that kind of contract and the new money that we're looking at make the Darnell Nurse deal a little more palatable or easier to trade when it comes time?
Yes and no. I would look. The deal that I would look at over the summer was the Ivan Provorov one, where we saw Ivan Provorov get 7 years and $8.5 million. That was an albatross.
Yeah.
That was Darnell Nurse 2.0, where you look at it and you go right from signing, that's way too much, and that's not even ever going to age well. I think Nurse is going to age a little bit better as it goes on.
Yeah,
because the cap's obviously going up, but I don't know. You might get to a point where you can trade it, but you're still going to have to attach an asset always.
Yeah. Major League Baseball playoffs they are so much fun. Honest to God, I'm having a blast watching all of these. The Bo Sox, they left in their reliever too long. They could have won that game, and now you got to worry about the Yankees. I don't think the Yankees are that good. Honest to God, I think the Red Sox would offer more of a push against Toronto. By the way, it doesn't look like Bichette is going to play in the ALDS. Does that concern you at all?
It's got to, right? Bo Bichette.
But if he comes back and he's like, he's good, like Santander, he got back and he didn't do jack diddly.
But Bo Bichette is the hits leader. Bo Bichette is outside of George Springer, Bo Bichette has been their second best player this season. I feel comfortable saying that. Vladdy didn't have a great season by any means.
No power.
He didn't hit for a ton of power. Vladdy had his ups, his downs. He was great at points during the season, but Bo Bichette was a consistent force for this Toronto Blue Jays offense. So it's a big concern that the Jays probably could be without Bo Bichette for the ALDS. But, I mean, listen, the Jays, they did it down the stretch without him. They weren't great. So that's a big concern. And I think if it is the Red Sox, I'm a lot more concerned because I think the Red Sox have the stuff to.
Their crochet is that's 2 wins.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That is the absolute problem. But with that being said, Red Sox to Yankees, even if Bo Bichette's out, I think they can beat the Yankees. The Yankees are just much like you said. I don't think the Yankees are that good.
No. My next question just walked out the door, so we're going to have to ad-lib a little bit. Do you want to pick who's going to win the World Series?
I can.
In the next, because I put my picks out there earlier, but I'll put my picks out. We'll talk about who's going to be in the AL and NL CS, and then who's going to be in the World Series and who's going to win. We'll do that coming up. And we also have declinations. Hi, my name is, which will be a blast. We just have to wait for Declan to get back so I can ask him
Mhm.
about the football.
What the one player I wanted to ask you about coming in today was Szymanski.
Oh, he's looked good.
He's looked incredible,
You know,
relative to expectations.
They got one here. They really do. They've got one, and there's no doubt about it in my mind. He can play. I don't know if he'll play this year in the NHL, but he'll play in the NHL. You know, he's good.
Relative to my expectations coming in, which was virtually none, he has been my most impressive player.
Yeah, I agree with that. And there were 3 Europeans we were going to talk about. Lepinen, the guy whose name I can't remember, the center who's playing wing as well, and he was going to make the team.
Tomasic?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And then this guy, Szymanski, and he was, to me, easily the third, but he has been the most surprising, no doubt. Declan?
Yes, sir.
So I was going to ask you about 49ers Rams.
Okay.
What's your thought? Because this is, on the face of it, this should be a pretty good Thursday night tilt, but there's injuries,
Yeah,
right?
that's absolutely what it is. Like the Thursday nighters, we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but that's the day generally that the NFL says, here are your games.
Slop.
Yeah, exactly. Here's your slop. Sit down, shut up, and enjoy it. And this was actually supposed to be one of the Thursday night games that was redeemable. Obviously, great divisional matchup. I was very high on the 49ers, as I think a lot of people were, in the Rams, very good staple of that NFC West as well. But you look at the hospital that is the San Francisco 49ers, and every single person of note on that team seems to be injured, and all of a sudden you have pretty much a practice squad or a second team squad now playing for the 49ers. So I don't know what's going to happen in the game. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. We'll have to let the results play out on the field, but a game that had high aspirations, especially for a Thursday nighter, and now all of a sudden it's just, like they have everyone injured on stage. It's honestly shocking. And this happens to them every year. Like everyone is hurt all the time on that 49ers team. It's really quite crazy.
There's sometimes, like the Houston Astros, they guys get hurt and they say he's fine, and then it turns out he's got like a broken leg. Is it a organizational misfit that they just simply cannot get it together when it comes to injuries and properly diagnosing them and giving their players the right amount of time off?
I don't know if it's an issue with misdiagnosis or anything like that. It just seemed like it's just who they are. They have a lot of players who are very injury prone. They really run their high profile and their big name players into the ground. And this is just what happens when you combine those two things. So yeah, I don't think it's mismanagement or anything like that. It's honestly just misfortune.
Okay.
To a large degree.
All right. I didn't get a chat. I waited until the roundtable because this is sort of like the hyenas in the room when chasing a zebra. And I wanted to talk about Ryder Cup and the phrase "ugly American" is not an attractive one, but there was some really poor behavior at the Ryder Cup, specifically about Rory and his wife. And we haven't had a chance to talk about it, but Declan and Donovan, I'd like you to have a lash at it. I felt like, in all honesty, it shows why the Ryder Cup, although a good idea, could be ruined if that kind of element is allowed. And we've seen that a little bit when the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup. There were some wild takes, not just from fans, but also from players. Seems as though there's an attitude that is far more edgy and in your face in sports right now. And in the Ryder Cup, it was the fans being really, without lack of a better word, vile.
Yeah, the word that comes to mind was disgusting with their etiquette at certain times. I mean, sports is at a place where everyone feels like they have something to include in the conversation. And listen, it's your right. You have your opinion. You can share it, whatever. But I don't understand, and I'll say this from whether it's you're talking to media members, whether you're talking to athletes, I don't understand why some people feel the need to just go out of their way and try and ruin someone's day.
Right.
And listen, I get it's part of the competition. I get you're going to heckle some people. I have no problem with minor little heckling jabs, but sometimes it goes way too far. And they went way, way, way too far.
Yeah.
And even include the Shane Lowry thing, include other numerous, when people are getting kicked out, when people are getting threatened to be punched in the face by athletes, that's when you know you've gone too far.
Yeah.
And some people need to take a step back, look in the mirror, and say, you know what? I'm a better person than this. I don't need to go out of my way and heckle Roy McIlroy.
Yeah, it was crazy talk. I mean, it really just kind of nutty.
It's always nice to see like fans get involved and be passionate and be part of the atmosphere, because I think that's one thing that makes sports great, and I think that's an element that's awesome. But when you take it to, you know, kind of these levels and you're involving these guys' wives and stuff, and you're getting real close to them and making things real personal and making you feel like you're more important to this event than you are, and that you're the big dog on campus, like that's when there's a real problem. And this was just like a horrible display. And honestly, like it's one of those things that it's like this is a situation that has a tendency to get worse before it gets better.
I agree with that.
What happens now when that fan who's saying something and gets a little loud, because that's who they are, but what happens when they've had 8 pops instead of 3, and now all of a sudden they're turning it physical, like they're making it an altercation, you know what I mean? Like that's when it becomes. And here's the other thing, like for golf is such a gentleman's sport. It's really unheard of, right? So that I think adds a little bit of an element, like, hey, this isn't Happy Gilmore, like we don't really do these things, this isn't expected. So for it to pop off like that is, it's a little troubling. And then to see what could happen because of it, that's a whole issue in and of itself.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, on the way, we have rumors. Do we have anything what Declan Nation's Hi My Name Is? Have you got a...
Well, it's not Hi My Name Is because it's Thursday, so it's Declan CFL.
Well, but we got Donovan here.
Yeah, but I mean, if he had been in yesterday, it still would have been Declan CFL. Listen, here's the thing. I hate doing Hi My Name Is. So if it's not Tuesday, I'm not going to do it.
Do you hate it because we're so mean to you?
I don't really like that's part. Like, I don't really care that much. It's a funny joke that never lands for you guys. My big thing is just like I just hate making it just to get ripped on the whole time.
Okay, so then we're going to do that every day. On the way, rumors, there's been a goaltender claimed on waivers. We'll tell you who it is, and a wild contract in the NHL. We'll tell you that as well. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machine.
$50 service until October 18th. Restrictions apply. Book today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together, Canada.
Here's the lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Family owned and community driven. We're making it easy. Visit wolfgmcbuick.com. So felt like fall out there. Was there fog or what this morning? Oh my God. Couldn't
Was there
see.
actually fog? I didn't see
Yeah.
any fog.
Oh yeah. No, there was
I didn't
fog.
wake up until 10:48.
Okay,
today,
well
though,
that's
so.
why you didn't see fog. What
Can
do
you believe that?
What kind of life are you leading now?
No,
Did
I
you
know.
watch so many episodes of Only Murders in the Building that you didn't?
I watched one last night and I wasn't really a fan.
Oh.
Here's my thing.
This is his
because I was talking to Lowetide about this before. I want to get into it. I think it's a show that I would like. I like the precipice of a mystery mixed with comedy. Obviously, Steve Martin Short are great. So far through 2 episodes, I'm having trouble getting into it.
What I will say, the first season, the first couple of episodes aren't that great.
That's where I'm at right now.
They aren't that great. But once you get into about, I want to say for me, it was episode 4, then you're hooked.
Okay. I can listen. I'm gonna stick it out because I don't like the idea of watching 2 episodes and giving up on a show, especially like I love.
It's
murder
really
mysteries.
good. It's really good.
Season 5 so far. I haven't finished all of what's out right now. I've just finished episode 4 last night. Oh, it is so good.
The first 2 episodes are brilliant. I watched the first 2 and we're holding up.
Here's
on the
my
next
thing.
2.
I don't want you guys to spoil it for me or anything, but
No.
is there like a new murder in the building every season? Or is it?
Well,
okay.
I think it might be more than one.
Yeah, in some seasons it's more than one, and there's more stuff going on. But there's a ton of really famous celebrity cameos. I don't.
Oh
do you want to know who some of them are?
Yeah, as long as it's not
So
spoilers.
it's not spoilers, but in this new season, I love how there's the 3 of them. I don't know if you've gotten to them yet, but there's 3 of them, and there is Christoph Waltz, Renee Zellweger, and then the lesser known guy from our audience would be Logan Lerman. But they kind of counteract. They're like, they kind of counteract the 3 main leads here in the Selena Gomez, Martin Short, and Steve Martin, and they're kind of like the exact opposites of them. But they all make them and pair off into these groups of 2, and it's just unbelievable. The episode 4 that I just watched last night, one of my favorite episodes of the show.
Oh, I can't wait. Selena Gomez is a key part of the show, and going in, you think Martin and Short, and they're fantastic. They really are. But the storyline moves, the plot moves with Gomez and Logan Lerman. He looks like he could be a producer on this show. What is he, 12?
He's got to be like close to 40 now, honestly.
Yeah, he's been around it a
old,
long time.
All right. It's time for Rumors, brought to you by Great Canadian Solar. Great Canadian Solar has been helping homeowners and businesses harness the power of the sun for 15 years. Invest in solar and yourself. GreatCanadianSolar.com. Okay, a few things. Number 1, the Ducks have signed Jackson Lacombe to a max term extension. Big money, $72 million, $9 million a year, 8 years. Giddy up. He has been paid. The Lightning have claimed Phoenix Copley off waivers from the Los Angeles Kings. You know, goalies kind of go in cycles, and right now there are teams that, like Toronto, has some problems with goaltending. I think you're going to see, we've seen 2 now, Ingram getting traded to Edmonton and now Copley on waivers. I think you're going to see that, and Michael DiPietro from Boston, I think, would be the next guy up. Panthers have released Ben Harper from the PTO. Lots of cuts, man. Lots of cuts everywhere, as you would imagine. Nothing major yet, but that will happen. Worry about Bichette for the Blue Jays in the LDS. I also wonder about, or the LCS. I also wonder about the rotation. Where are we? Are you still thinking it's going to be Gosman, the guy from Cleveland, and then the kid?
Beaver and then Trey Savage.
Yeah.
Probably.
No.
Like, you've got the injuries to Bassett and Barrios, right? Those are up in the air. Nobody knows what's going to happen there. And even if they were healthy right now, which we'll find out once we get there. Do you trust anybody?
No.
Like even Trey Savage, to an extent, he's a rookie. Do you truly trust him?
Well, it's like the both the Red Sox and the Yankees today are going with young pitchers. Schnittler's a little more established than early, but they're young guys.
It could blow up in both of their faces, right? And the Jays in Game 3, it could blow up in their face. So I would expect, regardless of who goes in Game 3, I would expect a short leash, and I would expect remember back to, unfortunately, Jose Barrios in Minnesota.
Man.
Where it was that quick pull, but he was dealing. It was a quick pull. It was planned.
They're still paying for that.
Still paying for it.
Yeah. So who do you like to make it to the World Series, National and American?
This is, of all the years, this feels like one of the most open in recent memory. So it pains me to pick a team based on just how open I truly believe it is. But I am going to say the Seattle Mariners.
Oh, that's my pick.
On the AL side, I feel like they are just the deepest team.
Yeah.
But I could see, like, in saying this, I could see the Jays making it, as weird as it sounds.
Yeah.
They just have that kind of 2019 Washington Nationals vibe to them.
They do. There were some miracles on the Nationals run.
There was some absolute miracles. You're right. That
Hit by
Nationals
pitch.
run was crazy. So the Jays have that kind of vibe to them. I could see the Yankees, as much as it pains me to admit it. Like, if Aaron Judge just gets hot, he can carry that team to World Series, no question. And then it's the Mariners. Like, I don't see any real other thumpers in the American League, but in the NL, like, I wouldn't be shocked if it was the Dodgers. I wouldn't be shocked if it was the Padres. I wouldn't be shocked for most of those teams, really.
Even the Brewers, although nobody remembers about the Brewers, but they have a deep team.
The team I'm picking, though, is the Philadelphia Phillies.
Phillies.
They are my World Series pick.
So Phillies over the Mariners.
Yes.
I've got the Mariners over the Dodgers
in
the World Series. Yeah. Only because they've always had the pitching, and this year they've really got the bats. Their GM for years never got the bats, and they've got them this year.
They struggled a lot more than I thought they would this year in the regular season. And maybe I'm reading a little bit too into that. And I know Teoscar hit a couple of home runs the other night, but
their bullpen is the problem.
Their bullpen has been atrocious.
Yeah.
They have had a lot of guys who've slept through most of the regular season. Maybe they'll awake now come postseason time, and Teo did the other night.
No.
But, man, like, I feel like they're vulnerable. I know I said that last year too, but they feel more vulnerable than they did even last year when they did win. So I feel like it's the Phillies' time. Like, the Phillies need to win in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
otherwise, it's done.
Dombrowski's 69. He's only got 20 more years to be the GM.
Well, no, but you look at the age of that roster. Kyle Schwarber's up for free agency this year.
Yep.
You have Bryce Harper continually just getting older and older.
That's a
Trey
problem.
Turner's getting older. Everybody's older.
Yeah, Harper's a worry. I love Harper, but he's a worry.
Harper's still a great player.
No,
but he's slowly getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse, and injuries are creeping in.
Yeah.
The Phillies need to win now, and I feel like this is the best year that they're ever going to have.
Declan, I don't know if you know how many since 1999, but I think it might be over 100. The Browns have gone to a new quarterback, Dylan Gabriel. And
shout out Dylan Gabriel, went to the University of Oregon, almost was a Heisman finalist last year.
So I'm not even going to go back to Kozar. I'm just going to say in the since the turn of the century, how many quarterbacks have started for Cleveland?
I think it's 41. I'm going to look it up right now. I think it's 41.
Incredible story. I mean, we're 25 years into the century, and they're like doing 1.75 a year.
Yeah, this is the 41.
Incredible.
You know what? I'm honestly surprised it's not a little bit higher, because they haven't really had anyone with any longevity at that position. Dylan Gabriel, I liked Dylan Gabriel a lot in college. Like I said, he was a Heisman finalist. I think he's a really talented guy. I think his game was probably better suited for the college game, but I like him a lot. But it is the bigger story out of this, because like the Browns are going to be terrible. Like changing your quarterback's not going to change anything. And I like Joe Flacco, but you're 41 years old. Like it's time to hang him up. The funniest part of this was Shedeur Sanders talking to the media, miming responses after Dylan Gabriel was named the starter. And Shedeur is a guy who really slipped and really fell because of like maturity issues. And there were all these memes going around like, what was he doing in these interviews to drop this much? This is what he was doing, getting asked questions by reporters. And I don't know if you guys saw the video. I don't know how you would have missed it. It was everywhere.
Yep.
But the way he handles himself and carries himself is just so immature. And like you're a third string quarterback, arguably a fourth string quarterback when Deshaun Watson is there. And I've been a Shedeur Sanders defender, but I don't know how you can look at these antics he's putting forth and think like this is a guy I want to hitch my wagon to for the future of this franchise. Like
and spend millions of dollars on.
It's really, really embarrassing stuff. And I watched, like I've said this, I watched plenty of Colorado games. He is a talented enough quarterback. Like he has the touches there and he can drop balls in a bucket. But the jump from college to the NFL is huge. And when you're acting like this, it's like, what the point? I was actually thinking this. After I saw him miming that media veil, I was thinking like, man, if they cut him, I wouldn't be surprised.
Wow.
He is, and I mean this fully, a clown. I don't know if, Declan, did you see Jazz Chisholm's media availability?
I saw that he had it, but I didn't see the avail.
His back was turned to the reporters. The reporters were asking him questions, and he had his back turned, and he was sorting through his clothes.
Yeah.
Now, that is the same type of antics in my mind, where you look at a guy and you think you might be one of the least mature human beings on the planet, and you are in a spot where you can have all the talent in the world, but if you act like that, there are a bunch of teams that are not going to want any part of you. And people still question why Shedeur Sanders fell. And all you need to look at is look no further than that media availability.
Because, like, yeah, here's the other thing. If Shedeur comes in and plays, chances are with that Browns offensive line, with how that team is, he's going to play poorly. Like, that's just statistically, that's what's most likely to happen if he does get in. So now you're going to have all these antics attached to playing poorly. So you're not going to play well. You're going to have this behind you. And there's the media circus that precedes both of these things. So what is the incentive for a team to keep this third or fourth stringer around acting like this? Like he's built himself into a really, really tough situation. And it wasn't all him at the beginning of his NFL tenure, but it's certainly him now.
The second I saw legend all over his draft room was the second I knew this guy, I would want no part of him.
And this is the other thing. Like people, during right after the NFL draft, this past April, like people were kind of saying like, oh, it clearly wasn't that good. Like, no, I watched it. He is that good at quarterback. He's not that good, but he is a good quarterback. It all came down to the antics and the maturity issues. And now it has come glaringly to light. Like he was doing something as an NFL quarterback talking to media I would do to you two on a Tuesday show. You know what I mean? Like that can't possibly be acceptable.
He was a grade 2 classroom school student. That's what he was. He was acting like he was in grade 2, and he was at the lunchroom table, and he was mocking the teacher.
He's a little bit the definition of like he was filled with a silver spoon and it never caught up to him. And now he's finally in a situation where that silver spoon doesn't really matter anymore. And he just doesn't know how to handle it. And I say this as like one of the proest, biggest Shedeur defenders, because I knew how good he was at Colorado and Jackson State.
All right. It's 12:37. We'll get back to him. Coming up, we've got bagged milk. Declinations is CFL today?
Yes.
All right. I want to talk a little bit about the Edmonton Oilers and what we think this opening night lineup is going to be. So we're going to run through the lines and pairing. I know you guys love it. And we'll also talk a little waivers to some guys on waivers. It's all straight ahead. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube. That was really good. I like that. I didn't realize he was that immature. Although when you said Jazz Chisholm, I was like, okay.
It's the same level. They're the same level of maturity.
Six p.m. First round. Burgers, beer, sports. Downtown and Bourbon Street, West Edmonton Mall.
Backed by popular demand, Folsom Prison Revisited. The story of one of the greatest concerts in history returns to the Jubilee Auditorium. November 22nd. Step back in time before, during, and after this iconic Johnny Cash performance, featuring Devin Brain from $1 Million Quartet and an all-star band. You'll relive an event that changed the life of Johnny Cash and changed music forever. Tickets at Ticketmaster.ca and at the Jubilee box office. Brought to you by Stars and Stories Live.
Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
We're making it easy. Visit wolfgmcbuick.com. So I want to talk a little bit about the lines because somebody texted like not long ago, Propane Pimp. Has Knobloch smartened up and split 97 and 29 yet? If not, the lines are screwed up. And I have sympathy for that. I do. But I have to say that I kind of felt some hope last night for Ike Howard, and I think Matt Savoy could play on a skill line. Thoughts on Podkolzin with Draisaitl and Savoy, and then Mangiapane with McDavid and either Nuge or Frederick. Does anybody like that?
That's how I would run it whenever. Well, yeah, until Hyman's back, that's probably how I'd run it.
Right. And then when Hyman gets back, it gets easier.
Yeah, everything goes back to semi-normal. Everything goes back to the status quo pretty much once Zach Hyman is back for me. But I think you have to have them split up. I know we talked about this last Tuesday in pretty much all show. They're better when they're apart.
Yeah.
It is the same old Pittsburgh Penguins adage. Evgeny Malkin, Sidney Crosby have played apart their entire careers. That's how your team's the deepest. That gives you the best chance to win. Now, is the beginning of the season going to kill them? No. They're still going to be a playoff team. We're not saying the Oilers are going to be terrible when McDavid and Draisaitl are together, but Chris Knobloch still has them together. I will say I was at the game the other day where they were playing with Trent Frederick, and they looked really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
But
Vancouver didn't send their best.
And how is that going to shake out the rest of the lineup? That's the big question, right? I think you're probably going to see Matt Savoy playing on a skill line.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would probably be having, but you've got to have the question of, where do you want Andrew Mangiapane?
Well, I thought he was going to go on McDavid's line.
I did too.
To me, it's a match, right? Podkolzin and Draisaitl play well together. You probably like to upgrade that eventually, but that might be Ike Howard with Draisaitl before too long. But I thought Mangiapane would go there. It doesn't seem like the coach wants him there.
It feels like if he's on a third line with like Rico and whoever else, like he's just buried, and he feels like your best chance at being a legit scoring winger. Proven scoring winger. I know he's only had the 120 goal season, the 130 goal season, but until Hyman gets back. And it just feels like if he's down there on that third line, like he's just buried. You've buried a guy who can be a goal scorer for you.
That's it. And everybody talks about, he'll thrive down there, but he won't play very much. Like this team really drives the top two lines when Draisaitl and McDavid are apart. And if they're together, then they're going to play him 23 and a half minutes together in a night.
Do you think Noah Phillip or Curtis Lazar will be the opening night 4C?
I think it's probably going to be Lazar, but I think Phillip makes the team.
Okay.
See, I think it's going to be Noah Phillip.
I have a strong feeling it's going to be Noah Phillip.
I'd love it if it was Noah Phillip.
But I feel like both of them are going to be here, and I feel like it's going to be a season-long battle.
It's going to be 41 games exactly for each.
I think Lazar's better in the face-off dot. You could see them play on the same line. The fourth line with those two and somebody else, not a bad idea,
I wonder, the thing there is I do wonder, Noah Phillip has looked good in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked good in last preseason too.
Yeah, he did.
But then he came in and he looked a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I am I'm not saying he's the quadruple A player, but I want to see a lot more of Noah Phillip this year to see if in fact if he's just too good for the AHL or if he can be this NHL player. This is the make or break season for Noah Phillip for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. In waivers today, Cam Dineen and Riley Stillman were placed on waivers by the Edmonton Oilers. Both should clear. They are AHL veterans, and they can certainly play in the National Hockey League. Rory Kearns put on waivers by the Calgary Flames. Interesting player. I don't think he'll get claimed, but I wouldn't be shocked if he did because he has skill. Danton Heinen, Pittsburgh Penguins on waivers. Phil Kemp, former Edmonton Oilers prospect, and he did play one game with the team. He's on waivers from Pittsburgh as well. Mitchell Stevens from the Kraken. I'm going down the list now, so there may be JMO pauses. Raphael Lavoie, Golden Knights. Jacob Magna and Cole Schwint. I was a little bit surprised that Raphael Lavoie got picked up on waivers a year ago. I doubt he'll be picked up this year.
No, he's got no boots.
It's over. I wasn't surprised he got picked up last year, though. I thought there was a chance he could have had something. Or like maybe a better way of phrasing it is there was a chance a team could have thought he had something.
Yeah, he hadn't been, you always want a second opinion, and they got it in Vegas. And,
he is just a better shooting Tyler Benson.
Benson was a great passer, so, that's part of it too, right?
But
you got to have more than just that.
Both of them really struggled to keep up.
Well, and Lavoie, the thing that I noticed about him right when he came out of junior and went to the AHL, he didn't keep his feet moving. He was obviously very talented in the queue, and he didn't have to, move all the time. But he'd glide a lot, and you can't do that in the AHL. You get exposed really bad, and Hacksaw says, Al, it's taken me a while to put my finger on what the hell you're doing, noon to 2. It's now come to me. It's a sports radio version of My Three Sons. So I don't think anybody in this room knows what My Three Sons. There's two things that I'm doing on this radio show. Number one, as I'm just trying to keep up. One of the great things about radio is you work with young people, and they keep you young because they're constantly questioning, pushing new ideas, new references that you've never heard of. So it's like if you have kids, they keep you younger because relative to what you are going through and experiencing, they are a lot more sophisticated in things like tech or electronics or music or television shows, as an example. And then the other side of it is that I have talked about this before. I'm assuming all of these cats are going to want to stay in the industry. And 20 years from now, I'll be in my 80s and I'll be, listening to the radio and I'll hear people that I know, or maybe, it'll process through and there'll be some remnants and roll ends of the radio station that I worked at that was still there. And that for me is the cool part, because more than anything, I love radio. Radio is I love CBC. I love the country music. I love the rock and roll. I love the top 40. They don't call it that anymore. I love the talk show stuff. I love it all. Radio for me is just a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant thing. So that's it. Does that make me Uncle Charlie from Ear Candy? I don't think any of these guys know that. You don't know that show.
No.
It's from the 60s, right?
Yeah, they lost their mom and they had a dumbwaiter, and there were 3 kids. Ernie, who had the weirdest glasses. Don't remember the other ones. Uncle Charlie, and Fred McMurray was the dad. And he would come home and he'd be the dad, and the kids would have done all kinds of hijinks. But it was sort of the 60s were weird because they were still trying to, have all the families be, mom, dad, kids, everything's good, nuclear family. But they would have ones like My 3 Sons where the mom had passed away and Uncle Charlie moved in and did all the laundry and cooked. Kind of weird, but I liked that show. It was okay. What's your favorite TV show when you were 15 years old?
Go ahead, Deck.
For me, it was Malcolm in the Middle, which is still my second favorite TV show.
Great show. The mom on Malcolm in the Middle is the greatest television mom in history.
You know what? I actually don't know.
Okay.
I
you don't remember that far.
I don't remember what my favorite show at that time would have been, but it probably
Family Guy.
No, I never watched Family Guy. I never watched The Simpsons. I never watched any of that stuff. It would have been something on
how to can food.
I'll just tentatively say maybe Daredevil, the Netflix show.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. I never saw it, but I get that.
It was a good show.
What was yours, Lowetide? Like the nightly news?
No, I loved the Rockford Files.
Oh, that's a good
it was a great. I loved Happy Days.
I've been wanting to watch Happy Days from start to finish.
Oh, Happy Days is a great show. It really is. I love the Mary Tyler Moore show. There was a comedy. WKRP in Cincinnati came along just a little bit later, and it was the reason I got into radio. Avro Arrow says my favorite show when I was 15, MASH. Everybody loved MASH. I can't watch MASH anymore because I've watched it so many times in reruns.
Yeah.
It's like Seinfeld. I can't watch it anymore either. Matlock for LT, that was later on.
Actually, it would have been The Office for me.
Yeah, it's
Office is a great show.
You know what? Another one for me when I was 15 that I've rewatched, and I think it's a horrible, horrible show now, but I watched it in its entirety and as it was coming out, was How I Met Your Mother. I never
got into that show.
Rewatching it, you're like, wow, this is a bad show. How did I watch this 2 or 3 times through?
It was always so disconnected. Like the script, the storylines were like all over Hell's Half Acre. I mean, I still don't even know the guy they were talking about meeting his mother. Like, who is the lead character?
Ted Mosby.
I never watched it. I've seen clips on. They randomly pop up on my YouTube or whatever.
Yeah. I loved watching it as a teenager, but watching it back, you're like, wow, this is a bad show.
Yeah, I get that. One Day at a Time was like that for me. I had such a crush on Valerie Bertinelli. I saved myself for her, but she married a rock and roll star, so that didn't work out. But I loved One Day at a Time, and years later I saw it. It wasn't really that good of a show, except for Valerie Bertinelli. That was really good. All right, 12:52, Lowdown with Lowetide. This is all about sports. It all intertwines with sports. How about The Night Stalker? I don't remember that show. Everybody Loves Raymond was a really good show. LT, was there ever a radio user of Dramatic Pause better than Stuart McLean on the Vinyl Cafe? No. Do you think the Edmonton Oilers will make a trade in the next few days?
No.
You don't think they'll trade a defenseman who's going to get waived? Because a right-handed defenseman has extra value.
If they make a trade, I think it would be really inconsequential.
If they do, I
Alec
couldn't agree
Regula for
more.
a fourth-round pick isn't inconsequential. I'm sorry. I said Alec Regula. What I meant was Troy Stetcher for a fourth-round pick.
With all respect to Troy Stetcher, I think in the grand scheme of things, that's pretty inconsequential.
I would just say, at what point has this front office showed you that they want to lessen their defensive depth?
Fair point. But they're going to lessen it through waivers if they don't make a move.
They very well might. However, usually, I think we overestimate how many people are going to get claimed on waivers.
Oh, for sure.
Is it what? 3 a year?
Well, it's more than that, but it's not a lot.
But like on the primary waiver phase where we're getting to now, where it's all the big cuts.
But Copley got picked up today, and that to me, he's not even close to being the best guy available.
But everybody always wants the extra goaltending depth, right? And for Tampa, you lost the layer of extra goaltending depth, I guess, in Tompkins, right? So you're going to want a third string goalie. Phoenix Copley's more than capable of that. I view it as, we always overestimate who's going to get claimed, and then a lot of the time they never do. So
True.
Troy Stetcher or Alec Regula, whoever winds up getting waived, while I believe Troy Stetcher would get claimed, there's a real chance that he might not.
It usually is hit and miss. It really is, and very, very few times in life have the Oilers ever lost a player through waivers that really cost them. But it has happened.
And if you're losing Troy Stetcher, is that going to be what loses you a Stanley Cup again this season? I don't think it will.
No.
So,
do you know that
whatever.
in November of 1997, were you born yet?
Nope.
Okay. November of 1997, the Edmonton Oilers waived a man named Ray Whitney.
Yep, I know about that one.
And he went to the Florida Panthers. Oh my God, he was really, really good for forever after they did that. And they had him. And he scored 32 goals the year they lost him to waivers. From early November to the end of the year, he scored 32 goals for the Florida Panthers. And then 26, 29, and on it went. Amazing career after he left the Oilers via waivers.
Sounds almost similar to, remember Jonathan Marchessault as a Florida Panther?
Oh, man.
Or I guess a Tampa Bay Lightning before that?
Yeah.
Wasn't
he a Calgary pick? And they waived him?
But he went from team to team to team to team. And then I believe he ended up in Tampa. They waived him. And then he got claimed by Florida. And then he became a 30-goal scorer in Florida. They left him exposed to Vegas in or they let Vegas take him in the expansion draft. And then he went on to win a Stanley Cup for Vegas.
No. Did you guys hear what Ben McDonald said on the broadcast?
I did.
Yeah.
What a joke, right? Like, I'm
Listen, like
you're dissing the network that you're working for. I'm not watching that. And he said later, while I'm going hunting and I was getting ribbed, I don't care. That's not professional.
That's the thing. Like the fact that ESPN has the broadcast rights is crazy. It's so unprofessional. The only thing I give him a touch of a pass on is like if he had been a guy who had been a media guy his whole life and said it, we have a huge problem. Yeah. Like he was an MLB pitcher. So I get him saying like, I'm only going to watch baseball. He still went about it terribly. And I still I wonder how many people watching knew he was a baseball pitcher. But if he had been like a media guy, if he had been just a play-by-play guy like Joe Buck or something, then it's a real issue. To actually have the attachment to baseball, having been in the majors for what was it? It was like 10 years or something. He was in the majors.
And,
it makes it a little bit better to me.
Massive number of World Series wins.
Yeah, didn't he never win a playoff game or something?
He didn't. I remember though, he's a good pitcher. I'm just being a jerk. It reminds me of the time I was watching. What's the California race? They have all day races in California early in the year for horse races. And there was a playoff game. I think the Arizona Coyotes were in it. And there was a playoff game that had gone into overtime. And then every once in a while they'd go back to the race. And the host of the the horse race was coming out of his shoes with anger and rage. I can't believe the hockey game is taking away from this coverage that we have. And I'm like, it made me laugh because I think he had kind of lost the moment. It's like the guy on CNN who got mad when the Pope didn't die during his shift. There's just sometimes in media where maybe you need to stop looking at what you're going through and looking at the world at large. All right, 12:58 on the way. Bagged milk from Oilers Nation. We'll talk about the Oilers, and we have Declination CFL coming up at 1:40 today, and we'll talk more about the Edmonton Oilers too. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Time for an update with Declan.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Brought to you by Papa John's. It is Terrific Tuesday. Get 40% off any regular price pizza. Use the code word 40Tuesday at the start of each pizza order and at papajohns.ca. MLB action tonight in the playoffs. 3 games with 3 series tied, 1 apiece. Tigers and Guardians starting the action at 1. Padres, Cubs at 3. And then the Red Sox, Yankees at 6. In the sporting world, Jackson LaCombe is now the highest paid player in Anaheim Ducks history, signing an 8-year, $9 million AAV extension. The Florida Panthers have also signed defenseman Nico Mikkola to an 8-year, $40 million contract extension, and the Calgary Flames have signed head coach Ryan Huska to a 2-year contract extension. The 50-year-old is entering his 3rd season with the Flames and was in the last year of his current contract. Carter Hart appears to be moving forward towards signing with the Vegas Golden Knights, according to TSN hockey insider Chris Johnston, and Tampa Bay has claimed Phoenix Copley off waivers from Los Angeles. One piece of news in the baseball world is Shohei Ohtani will make his postseason pitching debut when he starts for the Los Angeles Dodgers against the Phillies in Game 1 of the NLDS. I'm Declan Krueger. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Mr. Rooter meets a ghost.
1 plunge, 2, and 3. A toilet clogged with a ghost? Man, I love plumbing. You're free now.
I will never find peace. The clog is fixed, yes, but I have never trusted the sump pump.
No problemo. I can fix that. Now go to the light, you little scamp.
Thank you, Mr. Rooter.
To resolve your unfinished plumbing business, trust one plumber, Mr. Rooter.
Did you know The Brick is proudly Canadian-owned and operated? We started right here in Canada over 50 years ago. Now, our 5,000 team members are proud to be your neighbor in more than 200 communities across Canada. And we support all Canadians with a growing selection of quality-made Canadian products and manufacturers. Nobody knows more about furnishing Canadian homes at the guaranteed lowest price than us. The Brick, saving you more.
Visit thebrick.com and use our store locator to find a brick store near you.
Whoa, who turned off all the lights? Experience the new charcoal menu at Booster Juice.
Charcoal menu?
Introducing the Eclipse Smoothie, Blackout Booster Mixer, and Midnight Booster Ball.
Where's that voice coming from?
Dark and delicious, made with activated charcoal.
Can we please turn the lights back on?
Sorry, I'm just excited about the new charcoal menu.
Wow, that is good.
Right?
Available now, only at Booster Juice.
Seriously, another door knocker? I really want to go solar, but these high-pressure tactics are exhausting.
And their prices are unbelievable. Before we do anything, let's call Great Canadian Solar.
There's a better way to go solar. Great Canadian Solar provides honest advice and fair pricing to save you from overpaying. They're easy to deal with and will never put pressure on you to buy. As a trusted local business for over 15 years, Great Canadian Solar will support you in your solar journey. Visit greatcanadiansolar.com and call today to get started.
60 years ago, we started selling trucks as Western GMC Buick. Today, we are Wolf GMC Buick. We're still located on the corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road with the same ownership for over 2 decades. Our customers have trusted our family-owned, community-driven business, and for that, we are thankful. If you're looking for a truck or SUV, pop in and one of our seasoned professionals will get you a great deal, hassle-free. Come trust our team at Wolf GMC Buick. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 Triple E. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo, the two best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save on Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save on Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
At jackpotcity.net, you can do amazing things with just one casino chip. Discover a world of incredible casino games with over 500 high-quality online slot games, including the world-renowned progressive jackpot slot Mega Moolah. Play for free at jackpotcity.net and get treated as a VIP 24/7. So visit jackpotcity.net today on your tablet, laptop, or mobile. Jackpot City, a whole world of casino games. 18 plus. Please play responsibly. This is not a gambling website.
High studio. They're breaking down the middle. Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
When this place gets kind of empty, sound of their breath fades with the lights. I think about the loveless past.
Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 for Wolf GMC Buick, family owned and community driven. We're making it easy. Visit wolfgmcbuick.com. From our YouTube channel, Richard Croft says, I think Darnell Nurse is now a value contract, easily tradable. The Oilers would be crazy to trade him now at 9.25. That's not outrageous. Well, they're top heavy though, right? They've got McDavid, Draisaitl, now Evan Bouchard making huge dollars. So the idea that you could move Darnell Nurse's contract, I don't think is outrageous. Now he plays a lot, but I think that he has been overpriced. He was always a value contract until this big contract was signed. I think there's an option there to make that move. Not saying they will, but I think it is an option. I think that's fair. So do we have Bagged Milk? We do. Bagged Milk joins us now from Oilers Nation. Bagged, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Al. How are you doing today?
Are you is Frank ready to go? How does he get ready for the season? Is he like a lot like the Oilers where they play, every third game? Is he like that?
Yeah, I've got him doing his training regimen. So right now it's very, very intense, Al. He's getting his walks, daily walks, a lot of snacks. I'm making him watch preseason. I sat him down next to me during the Seattle game last night. He's studying the rosters. He's looking at the lineups. He's seeing who the bubble players are. And it's all formulating into what will be a very, very, at least we all hope, profitable season of Frank's Picks going into the 8th year we are doing that. And actually, Al, it is my guy's birthday on Saturday. So we're going into this with a big celebration for season 8.
Oh, wow. So happy birthday. How old?
He's turning 8.
Oh, you said that, and I apparently didn't hear it. So he's turning 8 years old, which is 56. So well, he's still older than you, but that's okay. A little more mature too, right?
Well, I am seeing that he's starting to settle into his grumpy middle-age era. He's more easily irritated than he once was. I do find it funny, but yeah, he's more set in his ways than ever before. But again, we're looking forward to doing Frank's Picks again for another year.
Well, you say hi to him and you give him a big hug, okay?
Will do.
What did you and Frank think of last night's game?
It was sloppy.
Yeah.
It was sloppy. I think that Seattle did a really nice job of capitalizing on their chances. The Oilers outshot them basically 2-1. And I thought that, Joey Decord at the other end did a really nice job of keeping it in. It could have easily been a 6-7-4 game with a little luck going the Oilers' way. I mean, there's probably some goals that Calvin Pickard would want back mixed in there too. But at the end of the day, I was more so focused, not necessarily on the results, but singling out specific players. So today at OilersNation.com, I wrote about a couple of players that I was singling out last night. One was Matt Savoy. The more I watch him, Al, the more I love this player. He's aggressive on the forecheck. He's darting in and out of lanes, trying to fish pucks on the defensive side. He puts himself in strong positions offensively. And I'm really excited about seeing what he can do at the NHL level. And then the other player I wrote about was Ty Emberson. I think he's got a really interesting season ahead of him because Troy Stetcher is already around. Alec Regula, in my opinion, is having a really strong preseason and could have put his name in the mix for a job potentially. So I think for Ty Emberson, he's got a big task ahead of him to not just lock down a job as the third pairing right defenseman, but just sticking with the NHL club in general. I think there's a lot more competition for that spot than maybe I initially expected. So that's kind of what I was watching last night for the game against Seattle. I was just zeroing in on a couple of guys as opposed to the overall result.
I agree with you on Savoy and really Ike Howard. They're coming along really well. The Emerson, take that you just had is interesting to me because I do believe that they're going to have to waive or move out one of the following three players, Stetcher, Emerson, or Alec Regula, because I don't know that waivers is going to happen. Like if you put Regula on waivers, does he clear? I'm not sure. Same thing for the other two. Do you see them keeping 8 defensemen, or do you see them trading someone, or are they going to have to risk Regula?
It's fascinating to know because just guessing, not knowing anything, it seems to me like Chris Knobloch favors Troy Stetcher in that spot. We saw it in the playoffs. Emerson started on D, and then he was replaced by Troy Stetcher as it kind of rolled along. So I wonder if that's kind of like what's written in pencil right now. But as for the logjam, what do you do? I'm fascinated to find out, do they try and risk funding people through waivers? We've seen players slide through waivers over the past week that I thought might get claimed. So maybe if they do it on a big dump day, you can kind of slide through. But I also won't be surprised if he does make a trade to try and get some kind of asset back or something, because like we saw yesterday with the Connor Ingram trade, people are thinking about their depth charts and where everybody slots in, and the Oilers have some roster management and asset management to do here, or risk losing a player for nothing. I don't think we want to relive what happened last year with Raphael Lavoie going up and down and getting claimed and reclaimed and all that stuff over again. So I'm going to be really fascinated to see, but I wish I had an answer, but anyone's guess is probably the right one.
Yeah, it's true. Riley Stillman on waivers today from the Edmonton Oilers, as well as Cam Dineen. They've also sent out Quinn Hudson, Atro Lepinen, and Josh Szymanski have been assigned to the Bakersfield Condors. It gives us an opportunity. We're one game away from the end of the 8-game preseason. Of the players who were new arrivals, be they European, college, or whomever, that weren't, NHL players a year ago like Mangiapane, did anybody impress you to the point where you're like, oh my God, this is a player that I will remember based on their performance here in preseason?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple that I didn't know a whole lot about. Arto Lepinen, I think, he's a lot of fun. I didn't know anything about him. I think he's a little bit chaotic sometimes in the defensive zone, but his offensive instincts are really, really fun. And I would also say the same thing for David Tomaszek. He was, I read everything about him once they signed him. I read about his success in the Swedish league. But then Jason Gregor did an interview with him on 1440 and then eventually on OilersNation.com about what role he sees himself in. And I just was really intrigued by his answer, because to paraphrase it was, well, it depends what role I earn. If they want me to play a defensive role, I'll do that. If they want me to be up scoring, I'm going to try my best to do that. So I also really appreciated his attitude, and I thought he'd gotten stronger as the preseason has gone along. So those would probably be the two I'm most interested in. They feel more like they could end up as legitimate options for the NHL roster somewhere in time, more so than the scratch tickets from years past, like the Joel Pearsons and, those kind of players that we were bringing over in the Ken Holland era. Not to say I didn't love Gaetan Haas. I always loved Gaetan Haas, but these feel just more like they might be more legitimate options with time.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. Are you at a point now where you're prepared to project the opening night lines with McDavid and Draisaitl together and feel comfortable with the second line, likely to be Nugent Hopkins with, who knows, Ike Howard or Mangiapane, maybe Bud Colson? Are you comfortable with that, or are you still kind of trying to suss it out in your mind?
I'm comfortable with it, because ultimately, at the end of the day, we know these line combinations are going to change 10 million times between now and June. So if they start that way, it's not my preference. I'd always prefer Connor and Leon to be driving their own lines, because I think ultimately the team is stronger that way. But I'm also not one of those that's offended by starting the year off this way. I think a big part of it, and this is just me guessing, but I think a big part of it is the last 2 years, the Oilers have had rough starts. And I think that starting those two together, a nuclear deterrent, they're going to work well together. Who's the third option? We'll see. But I think that having those two together and setting the tone that we want to have a strong start to the season is more important than necessarily where everybody slots in. And as for the second line, you're going to have some quality players there. I think Ryan Nugent-Hopkins would probably be better suited to be the third line center at this stage. But if he's at the second line center, it's not like he's fighting way above his weight class. He's done this a million times in his career. And if he's got some quality line mates beside him, I think it could prove fruitful, especially, when the tough competition is going to go up against Connor and Leon. So I think it'll be fine. But I also won't be surprised if we start game one with Connor and Leon on the same line, and by the third period, it's changed. So I'm not really thinking about it too much.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. It's we're going to argue about it for like 3 months, and then it'll be like 11 shifts into the game and it'll be switched up. So no real worry there. Wanted to talk to you about this as the final segment, because I Connor Ingram didn't get claimed on waivers, and people were up in arms about it. And then the trade was made, and people are thrilled by it. But I during the process of all of that, Mark Spector gave his opinion on Gregor's show, I believe, on it, and I was just reading some of the comments that went on after that, and I don't know what it is about Stuart Skinner where people are just outraged that he's still the starter, but that's sort of a decision that management makes. And we know that goaltenders year over year have a tendency to regress, good and bad. And it feels like there's a somehow with the goaltending situation, there's a sense of outrage when anybody gives an opinion that isn't that Stuart Skinner is terrible, should be sent down the road. I still believe in Stuart Skinner. I still believe that he's a goaltender that can take them places. I know he's not Bobrovsky, and I know he's not Dominik Hasek, but he's not paid like that either. So what's your take on Skinner as the starter, Ingram as a possible replacement, and then maybe a little brief idea about how you feel about some fans coming out of their shoes when people give their opinions about the goaltending?
I loved it. To be honest, it was one of the most entertaining about faces that I've seen on social in a little while, because you're right. When he passed through waivers, everybody was mad. They were big mad. The Oilers don't know what they're doing. What's Stan Bowman doing? This is blah, blah, blah. And then, then what he goes ahead and does is trades magic beans. I still would love to know what future considerations really means. Like, are we talking about a steak dinner next time Utah's in town? I'd love to know. But he essentially traded nothing to get a reduced cost. So it turned into oh man, what a move by Stan Bowman in the span of, what are we talking, 48 hours?
Yeah.
So I actually thought it was one of the most entertaining little coincidental pieces of news that we've had in a long time, because the overreactions were so immense on one side, and then the jubilation was so intense when the trade finally went through. So I just loved it. That kind of stuff only happens in a market where people really care. And that's ultimately why you and I get to do what we do, is because Oilers fans are the best, and we're passionate, and we love to get mad about something. And I just thought this one was really entertaining.
Yeah, it was. You're watching the baseball?
Of course. Yeah, of course. Like last night, the Yankees and the Red Sox, that game was electric.
Man, it was great.
I love playoff baseball.
Me too. Would you rather the Jays face the Yankees or the Bo Sox?
You know what? Because it's the Yankees and the history of the team, I think I would rather the Yankees. I think that they're such a historic team that if the Jays can find a way to beat them, not to say that the Red Sox aren't, but the Yankees are the Yankees. And if the Jays can find a way to beat them on their way through into a longer playoff drive, like that just adds such a cool element to the story. Again, I know the Red Sox are also a historic team, but when you think of Major League Baseball, a lot of people just think of the Yankees. So that's the one I'd want to take. Take down the dragon. Let's see the Jays do it.
Bag Milk, you rock. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. Bag Milk from Oilers Nation with an update on Frank. Did I say Fred?
You did.
It's Frank. Sometimes I'll ask about, hey, how's Frank doing? And they'll go, are they talking about Saravalli? Because Bag Milk will be saying, well, he slobbered all over the place. And,
I remember the first time I was doing my internship here, and you were asking him about Frank, and I was like, is he talking about Frank Saravalli? Why is he asking about Frank Why is he asking how Frank Saravalli is feeling today? And I was so confused, and then I eventually realized, oh, okay, it's not Frank. He's not slobbering all over the floor. Frank Saravalli's not sleeping next to bagged milk.
Yeah.
I was a little concerned for Frank Saravalli, actually.
When this show started, I made it, and I do it to this day. If there's any dog in the background during an interview, you have to tell the name of the dog, how old the dog is, what the dog loves, and what kind of a dog it is. And people are always, the one thing you can do, pets in general, but dogs specifically, people will accept you talking about dogs. Carte blanche. It doesn't matter. They love to hear about dogs. Say hi to your dog for me. All right. On the way, declinations at 1:40. We're talking CFL. And coming up next, though, your comments, a lot of them, both on the YouTube channel and, of course, on the text line. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Experience.
All right, Sam, I'm going to need you to take me off the YouTube.
Yes. A common reaction from a veggie lover. Always scanning, searching, longing. But wait, what is this we see? The new McVeggie. Now at McDonald's.
Coming up on Icy Road Drivers, Canadians face the repercussions of an early frost. Will this be a bump in the road, bring a stop to their journey? Or did they get an early reminder that it was time to beat the rush and schedule an expert service appointment at their local Toyota dealer? Because it's time to swap those tires, get that oil checked, and store those summer tires until warm days return. Book your appointment today and ready your Toyota for the road ahead.
That, my friends, is more than a jingle. It's the sound of local, the sound of a family company that isn't owned by some big corporation. Hi, it's Dennis from Weiss Johnson, and I'm proud of our commitment to remain local, providing personalized sales and service whenever you need us. Some people say, go big or go home. Not us. We'd rather keep on doing what we're doing, focused on what matters most. You, our valued customers. See what our family can do for your family at weiss-johnson.com.
Greetings, let's take the change.
Place where the grass is really green.
Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 for Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out at wolfgmcbuick.com. Always tell when Declan is producing because the groove gets a little thumpier, little funkier.
The groove gets a little groovier.
Yeah. You know,
I'm saying
maybe a little Parliament or Funkadelic. later on in the show. Curious about whether the Leafs would make a deal with the Oilers, or do they only deal with the Flames? I'm curious about Kemp, Jarnkrok, Robertson. Doesn't seem like he would make their opening lineup roster. Feel like he could be a fit in Edmonton. Seems like he needs a chance, especially with our logjam on the back end. Leafs have a opposite problem. What say you, from El Dente? I feel that it's the same way we were talking yesterday about maybe the Blackhawks moving out of forward. Young players like Howard and Savoy, you need to give them 40 games. And if you bring in, Robertson, then I think you're confusing the issue. Just my opinion. But I would keep, if Howard makes the team, then give him his chance. And if Savoy makes the team, then give him his chance. And we'll see. But I just don't think Robertson is so good that you make a move for him. What do you think?
I have zero interest in Nick Robertson. Not to shoot down the idea of making a trade with the Leafs. Nick Robertson for me is the ultimate. He's not good enough to be a top 6 player, which I view him as he needs to be a top 6 player.
Yeah.
And he has his nickname last season from Leafs fans was Scratch and Score.
Yeah.
He would get scratched and then he'd come back into the lineup and score. What that tells me, I should say, is that he's not good enough to be a consistent NHL player because he's not good enough defensively to be in your bottom 6, and he's not skilled enough to be in your top 6. He's just one of those tweeners where he really has no spot on a contending team. If this was the San Jose Sharks, I'd be all over Nick Robertson because I think he'd increase your ceiling. I think he would make you a better team. But as a cup contending team, I don't have a place for Nick Robertson. David Kampf is a player where he just makes simply too much money for me.
Yeah, he's a fourth-line center.
He's a fourth-line center. Yeah. I like him as a player. I think he's smart. I think he has the defensive acumen. But he makes too much money. Calle Jarnkrok is the player that would interest me the most. But again, too much money.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Rod says, right now I don't like Skinner. He's going to be a great goalie, but right now we can't wait for that. We have to win now. He will be a great goalie in the future, or not good enough now. The last 4 teams that beat us in the playoffs won the Stanley Cup. If we had a better goalie, we would have at least 1 Stanley Cup, maybe more. Skinner makes a lot of stops, but the big shots he can't stop when needed. He's a future goalie, from Rod. 50 playoff games is a lot. And he played very well against Dallas 2 years in a row, and then did not play well against Florida. And I think it's a goalie matchup, but I think it's a team matchup too. So what do you do if you're the Edmonton Oilers? Well, I like the pickup of Connor Ingram, and I think he might end up playing NHL games this year. And a year from now, he might get signed ahead of Skinner, and maybe they trade him. But I still think this is an organization that is going to make a deal at the deadline for a goaltender who they believe could start if Skinner falters. That's my belief.
Do you? I viewed Connor Ingram as that move.
You think he's going to be the starting goalie?
Well, he could be.
Right. I think it could be too. Yeah.
I view Connor Ingram as the ultimate low risk, medium reward move. There's no risk to acquiring Connor Ingram.
None whatsoever. But I'll put it this way. I'm not certain, because everybody runs the numbers. I've seen them all over the place. But that's, even forwards and goal scorers are, you're looking at raw numbers year over year, and there's going to be some regression, good and bad. But with goalies, it's like so much larger. So the possible outcome of possibilities, even with those numbers that he has posted, I'm talking about Connor Ingram, they're very large. And you right now, Skinner has the job, the number 1 job, and that gives him status. But it doesn't give him status if he crumbles and plays poorly. But for Ingram to play NHL games in the spring of importance, he has to play lights out in Bakersfield. He has to get a break to come up here. He has to play as he did 2 years ago and the year before that, and not like last year. There's a lot of ifs in there. And in goaltending, goaltenders are voodoo. And I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying that I don't know that Stan Bowman will trust him to do it this year. Maybe a year from now.
My thing with Rod's text is like, okay, so if you think Stewart's going to be a great goalie, but he isn't right now, so what's your plan for him? Just let him ride pine while a better goalie's here. Then when he develops, like let him play after having 2 years off, or trade him for something and just let him be a good goalie elsewhere. Like that's what I'm in regard to that text, because I agree with everything you guys said. Connor Ingram, low risk, high reward, and potential to come in here and be a number one. But my question is like, okay, if you think he's going to be a great goalie, then like, what's your plan with him? You're just kicking him to the side until he is a good goalie, and he's going to magically become a good goalie by not playing, or he's going to be a good goalie somewhere else because you ship him out. And by the way, his trade value is probably not the highest right now with an expiring contract. Like what's the plan there?
I would also say this is his 27-year-old season.
Mm-hmm.
How much better is he going to get?
Yeah, like
does it not feel like Trey Ford 2.0 to you?
You guys know I'm not the biggest Stuart Skinner guy in the world. I don't think he's a bad goalie by any stretch of the imagination, but I exactly to what you just said, Donovan. Like I have some like his numbers have gotten worse every year of his career, essentially. Like I'm just curious what makes you think he's all, and maybe he does, but I'm curious what the eye test or the analytics say to suggest he's all of a sudden going to bloom.
Well, the analytics suggest he is not going to bloom.
I would agree.
The eye test also suggests that he is not going to bloom.
I would agree less with that, but I would probably agree.
When I watch Stuart Skinner, I watch a guy who struggles laterally. I watch
so
a guy
so much.
I watch a guy who is the definition of a painfully average goalie. Sometimes you can suggest he's below average. When he's hot, he looks like he can be a good NHL goalie, but there is zero consistency in his game.
I don't think he's bad, but my thing is his issues haven't been shored up really ever.
For me, he's on that Mike Smith spectrum where when he's great, and when he's bad, he's awful.
Do you think Ingram, the one area that I think that Ingram may have an advantage is that he was inconsistent last year. I always look for Rob Vollman in his Hockey Prospectus books. He wrote about you want a player, defense, forward, goaltender. You always want 3 years of consistent production, and then that's the level that you can count on. And none of the three goalies we're talking about in Edmonton's camp, be it Skinner or Pickard or now Ingram, have done it 3 years in a row. However, Ingram did do it 2 years in a row, and then he fell off a year ago, had all kinds of issues that we don't have to get into here, but one of them was losing his mom. So do we feel like his game is more consistent and it was just 1 year that was a tumble and now he can get back to that right away? And I think that's the bet. But how... They can't bring him up and play him tomorrow night or play him in the final game of preseason because he hasn't played yet. So they've got to send him down to Bakersfield and play. But let's say he's 10 games in and he's shooting lights out. Is this a guy that you because you have to know by the deadline, you have to know by the playoffs, is this a guy you bring up and start him as the number one guy?
You go first, Donovan.
This is a guy... I will say with Connor Ingram, like there is a chance that he is nothing for the Edmonton Oilers. There is a chance that he could be potentially something.
Which is every goalie who ever lived.
Exactly.
Right.
So you're going to sit there and he's probably going to stink for the first month in the AHL. He hasn't played in a long time. The hope for Oilers fans, I don't want to say, sorry, hope's the wrong word, but I don't know what other word to use right now other than hope, but the hope is that there's a situation where Connor Ingram gets the chance to play up here in Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
And if he gets the chance, I think he has the ability to be more consistent. Now, I will say his numbers prior to his dad's death weren't great last season, but they were better.
I thought it was his mom's death.
Sorry, what?
You said dad.
I thought it was dad, but whatever.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Parents passing.
Right.
Before his parents passing weren't great, but they weren't as bad as once his parent died. After his parent died, everything went to crap.
Which we can all understand.
We can all fully understand.
Right.
I'm almost throwing out last season. I'm saying, whatever. The numbers before that were fine.
Mm-hmm.
They were good.
They were good, yeah.
So, do I believe that he can be the consistent savior for this team? No. But I think he can, at his peak, he is better than Stuart Skinner. How much better? That is the question.
See, I still kind of go about it. Like, I think that year he had a 291 with 6 shutouts. Like, I think that's more of his anomaly than his norm. And like the Nashville sample size, people may look on HockeyDB and see like it was 3 games. Like it's really, really tough to tell. Then he had a 907 the year after that with the Coyotes. Listen, exactly to your point, like how do you play after something like that happens? Like after your mom, dies of cancer and you're battling undiagnosed OCD and depression, like that would be tough for anyone to deal with, let alone someone who has the pressure of an NHL goaltender. So I'm not ripping on him for that at all. But I'm just saying, like, when I look at everything and when you watch him play, maybe I'm wrong. It'd be awesome if I was, because that means that we'll have a real goalie. But I still feel like that one season, that 23-24 season where he played 50 games, that to me seems to be more of his outlier than his norm that he'll revert back to.
He had that year, Volman again, came up with a quality start percentage as a ratio. He was at 56%, was Ingram that year that you mentioned. And the highest for Skinner in his career was 61%. And that was in his second year with the Edmonton Oilers. For me, I think they're very similar goaltenders. But I think that I like to play along at home. And for me, the overriding thing here is this. Stuart Skinner's at $2.6 million, and no matter what, I know people are down on him. He's got 50 playoff games. He's been a starter for now 3 years. He's going to get paid like $5 million. But if you're the Oilers and Ingram comes in and plays as well, you can sign him for a lot less than $5 million. And if he's the guy who becomes the starter, then you've got a bargain for next year. The problem is, if you're Stan Bowman, do you trust that? Are you no matter how well Ingram plays this year, do you trust it enough not to make a deal at the deadline?
I don't think there is a guy at the deadline.
Well, we'll find out.
Unless you're in such a drastic upgrade, I don't like, unless you're getting Ilya Sorokin, unless you're getting like the one of
Swayman
10
who's
goalies,
bounced back or something.
the one of 10 goalies who are, I would say,
well, they can't get Swayman. He's too expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Unless you're
terrible last year.
Like, there's nobody that is affordable to the Oilers that is a clear and obvious upgrade. I've said it all along that could Connor Ingram be an upgrade in theory?
Yes.
But there's also the real chance that Connor Ingram spends the entirety of this season in the AHL.
Here's my do you think Stuart Skinner would get a $5 million AAV anywhere outside of Edmonton?
No.
Like, I don't for a second.
I think, from what my understanding, every NHL team views him as a below league average starter.
50 playoff games, beat Dallas in 2 semifinals.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Okay.
But
3 years as a starter. No, but just
sure,
let's
that's
take
great,
it out of
but-
our opinion and just look at the comparables for contracts.
Yeah, that okay.
So
but the
if you're the
contract-
Oilers, this is a chance for them to walk Skinner if they don't want him, if this young man Ingram can play.
I'd be walking from Skinner regardless.
But you have to have a replacement. You just said there's nobody out there.
In next summer, there is one man who I'm hoping and praying to God makes it to free agency, and his name is Philip Gustafsson.
Yeah, I
think
got
that's a
time
pipe
for him
dream.
as well. And I think you're right, Declan. I want that to happen, and I do think it's a pipe dream. I like the bet on Ingram, not because it's 100%, but because if it does work out, it could be a real solution that puts this team in a much better spot in goal. And I would just reiterate that whenever we're talking about Stuart Skinner and we talk about regression, the tendency is always to think it's going to be a downward spiral. If you look at the past with NHL goaltenders, they're voodoo, man. They just are. They'll have really great years, very poor years. 2 years ago, Skinner was very good. 3 years ago, he's really good. 2 years ago, not bad. Last year, he was not good at all. Is there regression there? I think that's what the bet is.
Well,
he's lost weight. He's got a new coach. We'll see. But I like the Ingram bet. There's a lot of people online who are screaming that this is the answer, and why can't people believe that? And I've just seen too many goalies who look like they're going to be good, and they're not. Jeff Delorier looked better than Devin Dubnyk before Devin Dubnyk took over the job.
I don't think he's the answer. But at the same time, can Connor Ingram give you average goaltending?
Maybe.
That is what I believe the question is. Because Stuart Skinner, for the vast majority of last season, gave you below average goaltending. That's not even.
So
that's
do you
the
think
fact.
the Oilers will get released and then not picked up by an NHL team?
Stuart Skinner?
Yeah.
No, I think Stuart Skinner would get picked up on his current contract. No question.
No, but like 2.6, he's RFA. He's going to make more money. He's got a resume that if you use comparables, is going to be a lot for it. So they'd have to walk him instead of signing him.
I would let him walk, no question, because I am of the mind of if you, listen, the whole probably thing right now with Connor McDavid is what the hell are we doing in net?
Well, I don't think that's the whole thing, but it's
it would
probably
be. It would probably have a big chunk to do with that.
So walk him and then bring him in Ingram for next year.
Not even bring in Connor Ingram. I am going wherever the hell else I want to go, and I'm making sure I get an upgrade. I don't care what it costs.
I'm a little higher on Stu, less so than you, Lowetide, and a little higher than Donovan, it sounds like. Like, I'm not sure if I'm just letting him walk like that, but I do think there's merit to what Donovan's saying, especially if this year goes down the slide immediately.
I can't pay Stuart Skinner $5 million.
We have to agree. We have to agree that goaltending regresses and not always in the direction that it has in the past. So when you're looking at Stuart Skinner, you're looking at last year and you're saying this is the be all and end all, but that's why they've got to play him this year. If he has another poor year, then I can see not signing him, but we're not there yet.
We're talking about if that happens, I think.
Yeah.
I have just watched too much mediocre to below mediocre goaltending from Stuart Skinner to believe that he is just mediocre. He is what he is to me. It is the old adage of, like, is he good enough to win? I think the Oilers team is good enough to win. I don't know if, does he hold them back? I believe he holds them back a little bit.
His highs are high, but his lows
are
seem
so
much,
low.
and they seem more frequent.
That's the position, guys.
I know it's the position, but when
it's
I
like
look
complaining about pitching, because the pitcher's the guy in control of the ball before it gets whacked into the ocean.
The numbers on Stuart Skinner suggest that he is a below league average starter.
He was last year for sure. He wasn't as a rookie. He wasn't.
But that was 3 years ago now, and he's gotten worse every year by the numbers.
But again, please do me a favor and go look at NHL goaltenders since time began, since Christ was a kid. They don't regress in a straight line. They're all over hell's half acre. They just are. They don't have 9-10, 9-10, 9-10. Sometimes it's 9-17. Sometimes it's 9-02. And save percentages are going down. And I look, I'm not saying that Stuart Skinner is going to get $5 million for the Oilers next year, but I'm also not convinced that Ingram is the reason he doesn't get $5 million from the Oilers next year.
It would be himself.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have anything to do with
But you've got to have somebody else, right?
You do. You have to have somebody else in mind. But
there's
I think
also
Gustafson's a great name, by the way.
I think he's phenomenal. I just don't think Minnesota would ever.
I don't think Minnesota will.
The thing is, like, you say you need to have someone, in the wings. There needs to be a contingency plan, and generally speaking, that's true. But in the worst case of scenarios, if he's so bad that they let him walk, the scenario isn't we have a plan B. It's we'll go figure out a new plan A because this isn't it. Now that's obviously the worst of the worst case scenario. But that could be a possibility. It could be for any team.
I think you can get Stuart Skinner level goaltending at a much more affordable cost from pretty much any other guy.
Them $2.6 million or the $5 million of next year.
Look at a guy like Cam Talbot. I think you can get Stuart Skinner level goaltending at about the same Stuart Skinner cost.
I never understood why they got rid of Talbot. They overplayed him, and then the next year when he struggled, they sent him away, and all he was overplayed the previous year.
Now, I'm not suggesting that Cam Talbot is the Oilers' savior and the guy who will win them a Stanley Cup.
I would trade for him at the
Cam
deadline.
Talbot can give you similar-ish Stuart Skinner goaltending at a similar-ish cost. And if Stuart Skinner costs you $5 million, I'm sorry, I'm out.
I'd trade for Talbot at the deadline. He's a name that I would trade for. He's not that bad. No, he's not that bad. Calgary Flame fan walks in here. If the Flames will trade their goalie to Edmonton, then they've got an option. There are not a lot of clear, superior options out there. I know that nobody likes Stuart Skinner, but there just aren't. And Talbot is one of them, I think.
Oh, we got to take a break. It's like 1:42.
Oh my God, we're running into your CFL time.
No, that's fine. It's a bye week for the Elks, and there are only 3 games. The one thing I would say though is it would be just awesome if Stu lights it up, and this conversation means 0. That would be best case scenario for everyone.
It would be.
But
we don't want. There are legitimately fans out there who want him to fail. That's not us. We want him to succeed.
I'm saying that regression is a thing. and especially in goal or on the pitcher's mound. Nothing, Detroit and Cleveland. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Author, musical connoisseur, sports know-it-all. Yes, a man for all seasons.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Tide on Sports 1440 for Wolf GMC Buick. Family owned and community driven. We're making it easy. Visit wolfgmcbuick.com. I don't know why we do anything else but talk about Stuart Skinner. People get riled up. They're texting the hell out of the show. We should just talk about Stuart Skinner all the time. All Stuart Skinner all the time. It's time for, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I wish we argued more. Like, I think it's the best sports talk radio is when the hosts are screaming at each other.
Well, but it has to be real.
Yes, no, it
right?
can't be. But that car, we almost started yelling at each other during the break.
Well,
like, that was real. That wasn't contrived.
It becomes a catch-22 because everybody's looking for a solution and there isn't one, which is where Stan Bowman is right now. And I think he did make a good move on the Ingram pickup. All right, it's time for Declinations, brought to you by Elks Nation, 2 weekly podcasts with Eddie Steele and Declan Krueger, breaking down the green and gold, the most in-depth Double E football coverage on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts. All right, sir. I took a lot of your time. Go for it.
It's cool. We can keep, there's not a whole lot to talk about. We can get back to, because I'm sure we have some final takes on the Skinner situation. We want to, it's just like every Tuesday. Like there's always, I know it's Thursday, but it always ends with a Stuart Skinner discussion or
mama
or a Toronto Maple Leafs discussion or something like that. But as far as the CFL goes, the Elks bye week this week. The Elks they're not mathematically out of the playoffs. It's probably not going to happen. Like, let's be real. They're probably not going to be a playoff team. They gave 2 away to Toronto and Hamilton that they shouldn't. Gave 1 to Hamilton away earlier that they shouldn't. They could conceivably be a 9-6 team. That would actually be good for second in the West. That's not the case. They're 6-9 right now and on the outside looking in. But if you're an Edmonton Elks fan and you're holding out hope, essentially what you need to happen is you need to go 3-0 the rest of the way here with games against Winnipeg, BC, and Calgary in that order. And you essentially need BC and Winnipeg to go 0-3. Now, you could also have Calgary go like 1-3 or 0-4 to fall out, and you're in a good spot because BC and Winnipeg don't play each other. But I think the best course of action probably is hoping BC and Winnipeg go 0-3. So, excuse me. So if you're an Elks fan, this Saturday at 5 o'clock, you are going to be hoping Calgary kicks the crap out of BC, injures some of their players, and they get depleted, so they go 0-3 the rest of the way. Now, if BC wins, because this is what it's really going to come down to, if BC does win that game against Calgary, you need to hope that BC essentially wins out and Calgary then loses out, goes 0-4 or 1-3, and Winnipeg loses out as well. Oh, and on top of that, like Toronto still has to kind of be a bottom feeder, which they are at 5-10. So there are things to hope for if you're an Elks fan. There is a path there, but you need a lot to go right, and you need a lot of help. And you also, this kind of goes without saying, you obviously can't lose. Now, like I said, the playoffs probably out of the question for this season. Like, it's probably not going to happen. So if you're an Elks fan, outside of looking at those extremely unlikely scenarios I talked about, I think you're really looking forward to next season. We've talked about this, Lowetide. Like, there is a good foundation put in here for what the future is going to look like.
Don't blow it up.
Like Coach Killam, they're very happy with that hire. He's been a guy who rallies the locker room, leader of men, the whole shebang. Ed Hervey at GM. Chris Morris as team president. Obviously, Larry Thompson passed. It's not under his ownership anymore, but it's his wife, Deb, with the same vision. So things are in place. And things I think will be looking up for the foreseeable future. You have players and you have position groups you're high on. Maybe there were some misses this year in regard to all the money that was paid to the defensive line. We don't know what the quarterback room is going to look like next year because Cody's on an expiring contract. He's not old, but he's a little bit older. Now, the team probably wouldn't be where they are in regards to wins if it wasn't for Cody, but he's a guy who's really struggled with the deep ball this season. The deep ball's never been his thing. He really struggled in that Saskatchewan game. He's going to be another year older. Is Trey Ford going to be here? Like, we don't know what it's going to look like with his price tag. They're paying a lot of money to a guy who's your scout team quarterback who doesn't come in, who rides a lot of pine. But then is there a team that would take him? Like, probably not. So you're in a bit of a weird situation in regard to the quarterback. But all in all, if you think this season is lost, which mathematically it's not, but let's be real, it probably is, there is still hope for what the next for what the foreseeable future would look like, and it's surely headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm all over it. But what you just said is actually absolutely true.
Yeah, and if you're an Elks fan, whoever you're probably what you're hoping for is a Calgary win against BC. But if BC does win that one, all of a sudden you're a BC fan to ascent. Like, I mean, you'd have like, it just, the math would work out that you just want BC to basically win out, and you want Calgary and Winnipeg to lose out. If Calgary wins, then you need BC and Winnipeg to lose out. And you obviously got to win all your games. So it's tough, but it's there.
Yeah. I feel like it's gone, but I also feel like there should be some celebrating of this franchise because it's been a long time, guys.
This was the season that had the most fanfare in like 5 years. Like, it was $28,000 for the Labor Day rematch. It was close to $30,000 for the Rough Rider game. Those were 2 wins, and those were 2 wins where the crowd was really into it and popping. So things are in the right direction.
And also, like, back in during the tough times, like I went to the breakfast, and it was a damn good breakfast. But that breakfast wasn't the best thing about this Elk season, and you can't even make a joke about it. They've done so many good things on both, and there's stars emerging. And Gregor said it the other day. The play calling on offense is too vanilla, but that you can solve that, right? And
they had to vanilla it up a little bit with Cody as their quarterback. Like, he's just so much more traditional in that sense.
Right. So Fajardo, I know he's older, but get him signed, get everybody back, get these playmakers on both sides of the ball back, and we know who they are, Rankin and others. Then run it back, because I just think this is a playoff team if the season started today.
I agree. I mean, listen, if they have the NFL schedule, I think they'd be a playoff team. I know that doesn't really make sense or work out factually, but yeah, there's something to be said for that. Yeah. They'd be in a much better spot than they are.
All right. Can we move on to Stuart Skinner talk?
Yeah, I mean, let's do it. Like, I feel like no one's really going to change their opinion on him here.
Well, no, I just, we haven't gotten to the machete discipline yet, so we're still alive.
Here it might come. Roland, hey guys, if Wolf from Calgary gets 7 per year, is $5 million for Skinner that much of a stretch if he's had a decent regular season? after he's made 2 Stanley Cup finals?
Well, what I will say is that when you look, if you're the Edmonton Oilers, you're going to sign them. The agent is looking at comparables, and that puts them at $5 million.
I am sorry. Dustin Wolf is about 1 million times the goalie that Stuart Skinner.
I understand that. Having said that, agents look at comparables.
They're not comparable.
Agents look at how many years in the league. You can take Wolf out of it. Stuart Skinner is going to get paid more than $2.6 million if the Oilers sign him next year.
Definitely.
That's why I think the acquisition of Ingram is potentially valuable for the Oilers, because they may not have to do that.
I don't know how many NHL teams pay him $5 million a year.
0.
Yeah.
Well, then what'll have to happen is the Oilers have to walk him, and then he becomes a free agent, because he's an RFA at the end of the year.
No, he's a free agent.
Is he a UFA?
This is a 27-year-old season.
Okay, so he can walk and then sign what at $1.5 million?
No, he will sign. He will get more money than he has on his current deal. No question.
You get 4.5.
But are you paying him more than you would pay a guy like?
But if you're the Oilers negotiating with him, the comparables are going to be more than $4 million, based on his experience and his success in the playoffs. And I know he didn't win the Stanley Cup, but he's taken them to 2.
Has he though?
I don't know if he's taken him to
Joe
2.
Schmo could have taken them to 2.
Any agent worth his salt is going to make that case, and it'll be hard to deny if you're the Edmonton Oilers.
It might be, but I feel like there's
You're
a lot of
talking about
guys who
Skinner
could've
like
done
he
that
should
too.
be released, and I don't believe that.
No, he should.
And he's going to get paid if
Greg
the
just
Edmonton
gave
Oilers sign him.
Jonathan the dirtiest side eye when you said that.
He's going to get paid.
A lot of guys could have taken him to that same spot. I just think.
I understand that. The Edmonton Oilers and the reality of Stuart Skinner getting signed, and it's going to be $5 million or more. That's my opinion. We'll find out as the days roll along. Thanks for tuning in. Jason Gregor on the way next. Please enjoy your day.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Brought to you by Loca Quality Market. Your fridge just got an upgrade. Over 200 chef-prepared gourmet meals waiting at Loca Quality Market. Shop local at loca.ca. Scores in the majors right now. Tigers leading the Guardians 1-0 in Game 3 of that AL wildcard matchup. In the middle of the third, Padres-Cubs will get going at 3, and the Red Sox-Yankees at 6. In the sporting world, Jackson Lacombe is now the highest-paid player in Anaheim Ducks history, signing an 8-year, $9 million AAV extension. The Florida Panthers have signed defenseman Nico Mikkola to an 8-year, $40 million contract extension, and the Calgary Flames have signed coach Ryan Huska to a 2-year contract extension. Carter Hart does appear to be moving towards signing with the Vegas Golden Knights, according to TSN hockey insider Chris Johnson, and Tampa Bay has claimed Phoenix Copley off waivers from the Kings. Shohei Ohtani will make his postseason pitching debut when he starts for the Dodgers against the Phillies in Game 1 of the NLDS. And I'm Declan Krueger, and this has been your Sports 1440 Update.
Sports 1440.